if you don't know what Application Insights is, Azure Application Insights, it's an application performance monitoring tool. So within Azure, you can create such application insights resources, one of them which I created here, and it will give you nice metrics and other data about your app while running in production or staging or something. This is not for local work, but rather for seeing what happens in an application that is actually deployed somewhere. Well, this is just a test account here, so you can't really see much. But you see, for example, we can see what failures happen in the app, or how many requests are coming in case of a web app, and how long they take. Or even it can automatically check the availability of the app by pinging it, or even running more complex web tests. Now, there's a lot more to it, of course. If you are curious, just check out the docs. They are pretty good. But what I would like to show now is an Orchard module that integrates it into Orchard. This is actually a very old module because there was an Orchard 1 module before, and now we have rewritten it on Orchard Core. It makes using application insights a bit easier because, you can just add a couple of NuGet packages and do 1-2 lines of configuration and get away with it. But we figure that there can be a bit more configuration, and the whole thing can be a bit even easier. So basically how you use it is, well, you add it to your solution. This is only available in a source form currently because it depends on the nightly build of Orchard. But once 1.0 is out, we'll provide NuGet packages too. You will need to configure it from static configuration or one of the app configuration sources. So, for example, in app settings.json, or in case of Azure, in an Azure app service, the app settings or something. You will basically need to set up what kind of logging you want, because log entries are forwarded to application insights too, and something called an instrumentation key, which is a bit like an API key, but you will also need to set up something which is actually called an API key. And once you are done there, there's a lot more configuration available, which we have implemented for privacy reasons, for not having too much data during development, if you are actually trying out how it looks like, to test how the whole thing works and check out whether telemetry is collected, etc., etc. So let's see how it actually works. I have a little app set up here. Again, it uses one of the nightlies, but it's an older nightly, so not the latest source. And of course, it's set up with the blog recipe. What I've done here is that I've enabled the module. It is also configured, as I mentioned, in the app settings.json file. So that's of course necessary. And once we have it here, we can go to the configured corresponding application insights account and, for example, check out the live metrics. I had some connection issues with Azure today, so I hope it will just work. Oh no, I actually shut down the app. Okay, why I'm restarting the app, sorry about that. Let's check out what goes into pretty much the logs, because here under transaction search, what you see is, all the data gathered by application insights. Oops, in the meantime, it's restarting. So you see, for example, you can see all the request data here, which is similar to the HTTP log of IIS. You can see all the exceptions, all the page views. Page views are the client-side parts of requests. That is the terminology here. Trace is just other kind of logging, and you can also log any custom event that happens in the app, so you can correlate it with things, as well as dependencies. Dependencies in application insights are everything that happens outside of the app. So a web request to a web API, or even to something like Google Analytics on the client side is a dependency. And SQL queries are dependencies too. So, for example, this is not collecting all the data, so we have a lot of data here. I clicked around the app a few times before. And for example, if we want to know what happened in a request, well, let me search for blog, because I know that there was an interesting one. So yeah, for example, this one. So if you want to know what happened in the request, you see all the details correlated. So the request, the page views, the dependency calls, everything. So for example, you see that here was a server-side request. This action, which was actually this URL, the homepage. It happened in the development environment on the default shell by the user named admin. And correspondingly, there was this page view where you can see a bit of client-side details about the browser and the IELTS. And you also see the corresponding SQL queries here, like this was the first one. Yeah, some query here. And we have a lot of other queries. And finally, we should see a commit here. Yeah, that was the last SQL command. So basically, you can look into a request and see what exactly happens. The same is available for background tasks as well, by the way, although that in this application is for some reason broken. In another solution, it works for me. It should work. I won't be able to demo it today. And this way you can check out what is slow, what goes wrong, what people do, because user flows can be tracked as well, and what issues arise. Because if you look at an exception, let me filter for exceptions here. Yeah, I made some deliberate exceptions. There you can also check out what happened. So again, everything is correlated. So here was an exception, which was just a dummy exception, but you see the call stack and you see the request where it happened. And again, you see all the details of the request. So like who did it, all the HTTP details, and the corresponding SQL queries, and corresponding everything else that you may track as traces or custom events. And this is all gathered here. You can check out in detail. You can drill into it. You can analyze the logs. You can create alerts based on various criteria. A lot of stuff. But I think what is the most fun is the live stream, which I couldn't show you before. This shows what's happening in the app right now. Well, this is a local lab, so not much, but let me refresh. This shows with about a 1 second of delay that how many requests are happening, how long did they take? Well, this was pretty fast. What happens with dependencies? So these were database calls, and what's on the server otherwise. So is it under load? Is it idling? What happens? And if you break something, and I can do this log test to log an exception and other log entries behind the scenes, then you will see that, hey, there was one exception here, and it also shows up on the right-hand side. So again, something bad happened. So that's it. I think it's pretty useful. We have been using it in our production apps for a very long time. I mean, application insights. And before with the Orchid 1 module, and now with the Orchid Core module. So it helps debugging and checking out what happens in your app a lot.
Awesome, thank you. Can we enable the module while the app is running, and then go in the portal to edit the key after that?
Yes. One thing though that when you edit settings here in the Azure portal for an app service, yes, that will cause a restart.
That's it. Okay, so that's okay. So you still need to restart. Okay, good. Well, that's okay. And I assume people will just type this, should just type in an environment the settings and then enable the module. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much like that. And of course, you can this way use different settings for different environments, even if the database happens to be the same. So easy to swap between a staging and production slot, for example.
If you do a request on an image, does it show up?
Yes, I think I'm not sure about the live stream, but probably it should. So
Maybe
this
it should
tracks
because middleware still.
Yes, it's by a middleware, and it shows all the requests that goes to the app, so including static resources. So it should probably show up. But yes, CSS files, JavaScript files, images, whatever are tracked as well. Even though it doesn't load.
Oh, you clicked, but okay. But
it's still.
I see. That's
loading.
the good thing. Okay, that's great. What else?
It's a bit slow today for some reason. Maybe
would have been nice to see a load generation, to see the charts grow up like with lots of requests.
Yeah, that's interesting. We could use your load testing tool, right?
No, I mean there are lots of tools you can download. Like Bombardier is very famous because it's just one exe you download. It's on GitHub. So and then one command line you generate some load. Apache Bench also, but Bombardier is famous. It works everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what? No, that's nice. Response time 5.2 milliseconds. Well, it's a 5 icon. It's easy, and it was local.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.